Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time to join in on another Morgan James book launch. My name is Jim Howard. I'm the publisher for Morgan James. And today we've got another incredible author to introduce to you with an incredible book and an incredible story. And today we're talking to Gerry Dryansky. And Gerry and Joanne Dryansky have written an incredible book titled A Season in Queens. Gerry, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for letting me talk.
I'm excited to be here to talk with you. This is such an amazing book, and you and Joanne have done so incredibly well putting this story together, and just it's a beautiful, beautiful tale. So I know Joanne's not here today, but we still have the pleasure of talking with you. But there's a reason for that.
Joanne sends her regards, and there's only a single one-word explanation for her not being here in front of the camera. She's shy in front of camera. She's shy in public. But I tell you, Jim, shy people, and it's an advantage for me as well as her, shy people have something, I think, very useful for writers. They have a distance, and the distance, unlike physics, increases the quality of the picture. They're not, Joanne doesn't think about telling stories about herself or telling people how she understands herself, or creating characters who resemble her. She's looking to see what's there. She's curious, has this high curiosity to know what's there. And when she sees it, it's our business and her business to tell and show what we see is important and to other people, because what matters are the same things over and over again that touch all people. And when they open a book, they meet new people in the book, virtual people, but what they meet is, I know that. I felt that. And when that happens, there's something there that's even an artificial being. And that's what I'm getting very flamboyant, but that's really what it happens. It's something new in the world, about the world.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And sometimes it takes those two perspectives, right? One seeing it from one perspective and the other one maybe being just a little bit further away from it, but seeing a whole different picture, and how it comes together presents the story, the emotion, the character, and the issues all in a whole new light. So you guys work so well together, and the book absolutely reflects, I think for me, it reflects the writing style of the book, I should say, reflects those two perspectives as they've come together so perfectly between you and Joanne. So well done.
Well, she's got more sensibility than I have. I'm a colder fish, I tell you that. But we really are very close. I'm going into another story about ourselves, but we started out writing screenplays, and the screenplays are often collaboration. And we've been together so long, since she was 14 and I was 15, and our first date I lied I was 16, and it all began with a lie, and it is left there. But what I mean is we almost have one brain now, but even the same brain goes back and forth and argues with itself, and you wind up, something very different from this idea of the aura of the author. It's not it. We don't count in the end. What's there comes to life.
Yeah.
The characters themselves start to talk. Yeah. And they say what they want to say. And that's kind of mystical in a way. I mean, I'm religious and mystical, if you like. The world has these qualities we don't really know too well.
That's right. That's right. So, A Season in Queens, what makes this book exceptional?
Okay, I'm not going to say it's exceptionally good, but it, for several reasons, exceptionally. It takes place at a time and place in 20th century American history, which was exceptional. We're talking about the war, which is, in a sense, backstory to the moment of the story, and the post-war moment when people who people talk about as ordinary people, these ordinary people, they came through doing exceptional moments, exceptional events, and lived through an exceptional world that was full of grief, but also there were reasons for hope, and there was a tension, worthwhile intention in their lives. We're talking about people, ordinary working class people. They lived in a suburb of New York City, part of New York City, but it took them an hour and a half and a bus and train ride to see the city on the hill, which was Manhattan. That was it. And they had a simple life to start with, a happy and good life. They worked hard. And then what happened? The war hit. They had loss, they had sacrifice, and they had heroism. And that's a big, that matters. And I think people are touched by that. And then there's an exceptional thing about the heroine of the book, the person who really matters, because she is a very talented person. And the way it's told, she's looking back. Well, actually, it's a memoir she left after she died, which was her attempt at doing what she called my novel, which was based on her imagination and her life. And she lived among those people. She was 16 years old. She knew a guy who was a guy across the street who was a great friend, both intellectuals in high school. He went off to war, came back a mess. He came back having gone through the horror. He came back what they call post-traumatic stress disorder. They called it shellshock. And they come together, they're friends together, and they go on a picnic, an evening on the beach, and something snaps for this guy. And that's her first experience of what a woman is. And so she looks back at this in a sense with closure, with feeling for him, feeling for what she was at the time. And this was an exceptional experience brought about, because what we try to do is what is and what they do comes together, and even in a series of a plot, everything matters to each other. So there you have it. She was an exceptional person. She went on to get over this. She started writing children's stories. She had a fulfilled life with her husband. And she left behind this document. The E.L. Doctorow, who is a novelist, talks about what they call a false document. Hers is what they call, her fake novel is a false document, but I think it's well done by her, I must say. So she was exceptional, and the times were exceptional. When you write, there are two ways of looking at what writers do to bring people to see the world in this thing called a novel. One thing you would call, they're concentrating on the way we are. And people like that. They like to see in the marriages, they like to see in the romances, in the divorces, in the drug addiction, everything. They come to that and they say, yes, that matters in my life. I feel that. But then there's something else called the way it is. And I think this is exceptional in the way it is, if you like, because the way it is has to do with the things that are life-changing events, life-changing actions, life-changing decisions that make up a story that's more of drama than the narrative. And I think because we started out doing screenplays, we have that dynamism, I think, of a drama, because what happens to all these people really counts.
Wow.
And they do exceptional things. There are moments we really love. You know, I keep thinking of this moment that her father, who was more or less bored, he a very nice, good guy to his family. He volunteered. He saw the war coming, and he saw this would make something of his life.
Mm.
And he volunteered. And what happened? He's on the Arizona when they came down and bombed them. And there's that moment when the telegram arrives. And she's there as a child. I think she was 13. She's there as a child, and she can't do anything but get her grandmother to come because her mother is in a terrible state.
Yeah.
And finally, her mother goes into the bedroom, slams the door. She comes out next morning wearing her husband's shirt, his jacket. And she was a registered nurse. And she goes off to war as a nurse. That's her vengeance, she calls it. There are people who do things like that. You say, hey, I admire them. A lot of people you don't admire, and we have everybody. But some people you get to love. You love the grandmother who used to go around during the war, door to door, knocking on doors, selling war bonds.
Mm.
So she knew everybody's business by that time. Anyhow, that's, I won't go through the whole plot, but then his action, his violent action, sets off a problem that leads finally to his ultimate destruction.
Mm.
And everything's not great about these people. You know, we like to look back now. Some people look back now and say, this was a time in America, a very honorable, great time in America. And it was, as I've just said, these people, what could be more honorable? There are bad things. There was racism, okay?
Yeah.
And racism is an event in this book. It's like a stone thrown on calm water. And it brings about, again, it's everything brings about everything else. It's important. But in the end, we see how these things are overcome, how people move forward, because this is not a book, you know, there's a tendency now to badmouth America, I have to put it that way. And I see so much writing that is where people are satirized, where people are looked down on, and that's smart. But I think people really want to know stories that make them feel good in an important way. They want to feel that this God's earth was created and it's a place that matters.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm getting speechy now.
No, that was wonderful. And I think you just kind of illustrated how there's so many veins in this book that'll open a reader's mind to how things were, to an incredible story, to see the real truth behind life and the hardships, but also in the overcoming. But how that relates back then, or how it related back then, is really still extremely relevant for today. And I think that that's what is incredible for your book, is so many conversations that are happening now. The story will let people kind of take a look and see and enjoy, but also get hope and get that feeling of there's an opportunity to do something exceptional, even through some of the negative things that happen in life. So well done.
I think what you say, I think it's what you say is exactly right. You know, you can't there's so many terrible things happening in the world today that you can't just give up.
No,
because that's not what we're here for.
That's right. That's right. So this is not, you mentioned screenplays that you and Joanne did early on, and that kind of morphed into writing. How does this book different than some of your other novels?
Well, that's a good point. And I think in a sense it's a drawback. We can't avoid. We don't have a brand. I think I mentioned last time we spoke that very important editor who was one of our editors who didn't want our second book because it's so different and people expect you to do what you do.
Yeah.
And perhaps people do expect to hear the same stories, the continuations of this. When you write screenplays, you do a comedy, you do a thriller, you do a drama, tragedy. I mean, tell it to Shakespeare, That's what we do. Our books are all different. And so, for example, we did a thriller called Satan Lake that the French editor who owned the French house of Vaxud, a very prestigious literary house, who became afterwards Minister of Culture, she published our thriller along there with all those great people, Nobels, whatever. Were great. It was great for us, but people should have said to us, "Hey, you have no right to write a thriller." We're curious. There's this word that our character uses about what she inherits from her grandmother, the great woman who learned about everybody's business. She said she had a high curiosity. And I think that's, if we can really, if we do or don't, but if people think we do, or if we really do, we've accomplished something because of a high curiosity, whether it's a thriller, whether it's a comedy, whether it's Othello or Macbeth. I mean, I'm not comparing with Shakespeare, please. We'll edit that out. Although we do this, we were in the same business. We were in the same business, more or less.
That's right.
Yes.
That's awesome. So, and I don't think you ever have to pigeonhole yourself into one style. I think that just stifles creativity, and where you and Joanne live, being able to explore whatever story is in your heart and in your mind at that time, and being able to put that in, you're going to put your whole heart into it. And I think too many times we see mediocre writing. We see a great novel to lead out, and then we see 2 or 3 books down from that author, and they just become ho-hum or mediocre. And I think it's because they're trying to fit within a mold that maybe they've outgrown. But by doing what you guys are doing, I think is really smart. I think it gives you an opportunity to expand your creativity and step out of the role of a thriller author into a comedy author, and into these other areas where you can explore and express in different ways. And I think it's wonderful.
Some well-known writers have done different genres. And I think that's the case of Philip Roth. I think it actually Joseph Conrad in Ford Maddox Ford collaborated on a novel. It's loose. You stay loose. Keep your eyes open.
That's right.
I mean, we have a quote from Henry James on our fly list, which says, "Try to be one of the people on whom nothing is lost."
Love it. I love that. So early on, Gerry, you mentioned, you and Joanne had been together for a long time, and you've worked together for a long time. I work with my wife. I've worked with my wife now for, oh my goodness, 33 years. So I understand, but there's a lot of people that have no idea how 2 people can be that closely connected, work together, live together, and make it productive and successful. But you guys have been able to do it. What was it like to write, a book of fiction where 2 people come from 2 different perspectives to tell the same story?
Well, we really don't come from 2 different perspectives. I think in that case, I think we're really, we quarrel sometimes. As I say, she's more sensitive about things than I am, but we know where we are. I think it would be a lot harder if the perspectives were different, because they would get into the question of me and you. Me and you has been us for so long a time that you could call us a me us.
I love that. I love it. And you know, you do get to a point. My wife and I have reached that level as well, where um, it's not her view, my view. It's our view, and it seems to have. She's rubbed off on me. I've rubbed off on her, and you know, we filled each other's gaps so that we become complete. And this new entity that was created is far better than either of us were on our own. So I understand it, man. And I think you guys have done so well writing this book. And everybody out there watching, A Season in Queens is available now. As you can tell just by listening to Gerry, it is full of hope. It's got some pain points. It's full of facts and truths, all woven into this fictional setting. And I think anyone who picks this book up is going to enjoy it, get a lot of entertainment value out of it, but also get some understanding and hopefully a little hope as well. Gerry, I know people who are watching us today are interested, at least. They may even have a copy and are reading it now, but they're going to want to connect with you. So what's the best way for someone watching to find out more about you, your other books, and everything that you and Joanne are doing?
Well, we have a website, jngdryansky.com, and we have some pictures of our other books. We've done together and separately, this will be the 7th book of fiction. And we tried one, when you talk about writing about yourself, we did a book which actually won some prize as the best culinary travel book written in America that year. And it was is about us, and a lot of biographical detail, because we're talking about ourselves, and I'm traveling through France, and it's about what's happened to French cuisine and what still is. You know, it's a cultural thing of great importance, I think. The Washington Post said it was a book to dream over. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was, we enjoyed that, but we ate a lot. Yes.
That sounds like a fun time and a book that I would love to do the research on. I don't know that I would write it, but I would love to do that research and go eat. And
No, we've been privileged, if you don't mind my using a current word. We've been very privileged.
Outstanding. Well, I'll put a link to the website right here, so everyone out there watching, you guys can grab that link, jngdryansky.com. I'll spell it out for you, so all you have to do is copy it, put it into your URL, and you can find out more about what Joanne and Gerry have going on, their other books, and everything about A Season in Queens. So Gerry, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today, and more importantly, for following those visions and writing these great stories.
Thank you, Jim, very much. And you're a great critic.
Well, I appreciate that. And thank everyone out there watching today. And we hope to see you on our next one.
Thank you very much, Jim.